After the success of Hammer's first Dracula movie from 1958, Hammer released their second vampire film 2 years later, titled The Brides of Dracula. Peter Cushing would return as Van Helsing, however Christopher Lee is absent from the movie, and so is the character Count Dracula. He is mentioned but never seen. The main vampire of the film is Baron Meinster, played by David Peel.
I am Baron Meinster. My mother is a vicious, evil, jealous woman.
The film is not to go unnoticed. It's a worthy vampire film from Hammer, and Peter Cushing is fantastic as always, but I'm only focusing on the Christopher Lee series of Dracula films. Dracula Prince of Darkness begins with a prologue summoning up the events of the previous film. This time round we get a narration as we watch the ending of the first movie, where Dracula is destroyed by the exposure of the sun. After the opening titles, we're introduced to our four main characters who are English travellers and are couples, Diana and Charles Kent, and Alan and Helen Kent. Whilst in a tavern, they encounter a priest named Father Sandor, played by Andrew Keir. Sandor says to the people of the tavern that Dracula has been dead for 10 years, as the folks are still scared that he may return. When having a conversation with the Kents, he asks them what they're doing at this location. They say they are travelling, and Sandor warns them not to travel anywhere near Carlsbad. The couple's voyage takes an eerie turn when they eventually arrive at Dracula's castle, despite Sandor's warning. From this point on, the film skillfully builds a sense of unease, escalating until Count Dracula's on-screen appearance. Christopher Lee's portrayal of Count Dracula is still as menacing as ever, and he conveys the vampire's performance with a brooding and commanding presence. Although Dracula remains silent throughout the entire film, Lee's commanding physicality and piercing gaze are enough to send shivers down your spine. Lee's ability to convey fear without uttering a word is a testament to his acting abilities and mastery of the character.
Why don't you use Stoker's words, Stoker's dialogue, if you like? No. So somebody used to write up lines like, I am the apocalypse, and beyond belief. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm not saying these lines, you get a terrific laugh, which I'm quite convinced we would have done.
The film benefits from atmospheric set designs which add to the overall ambience. The same shooting locations would also be used in the Hammer film production of The Plague of the Zombies, as the two films were released the same year and shown as a double bill. Prince of Darkness also stands out for its effective use of suspense and the amount of blood shown on screen at times. The film combines traditional gothic horror elements with some genuinely shocking moments, including a memorable and chilling resurrection scene. It's probably the best Hammer Dracula resurrection scene. Dracula now has an assistant named Clove, who resurrects his master by killing Alan. He uses Alan's blood as an attempt to bring his master back from the dead. Another memorable scene is when Helen, Charles's sister-in-law, meets her demise, and she's held down and staked by Father Sandor. After the staking, she returns to her normal self. The character of Father Sandor is the best character in the film besides Dracula himself. I really wish he went on to appear in other Dracula sequels, as I believe he's the only one who could ever really come close to battling the Count next to Van Helsing.
If you wish to see the destruction of the horror spawned by Count Dracula, come with me. But I warn you, it is not a sight for the squeamish.
Dracula Prince of Darkness also features a few sequences which lean more towards Stoker's novel, one of which is where Dracula cuts his chest and attempts to make Diana drink his blood. There's also a character named Ludwig, who is presumed to be Hammer's version of the character Renfield. We assume this because Ludwig at one point eats a fly and calls Dracula Master. He is also responsible for letting Dracula into Father Sandor's abbey. Now, with all of that said, however, some viewers might find the pacing of this film to be a bit slow, especially in the first half. Additionally, some of the character decisions are questionable, which was a common trope in horror films of this era, but these minor imperfections do little to diminish the overall impact of this classic. The climax of this movie isn't as good as its predecessor, but I still really like it for what it is. A new way to kill a vampire in this movie is running water, and sure enough, that's how Dracula meets his demise. As Charles Kent approaches the Count's coffin on the ice in an attempt to stake Dracula, time runs out and Dracula flings open his coffin and attacks Charles for the second time. Diana, Charles's wife, shoots the ice, then Father Sandor takes over, continuing to shoot the ice at Dracula's feet until he has nowhere left to flee. Eventually, the ice below from him breaks and Dracula slides down into the frozen water, and Dracula is trapped and destroyed once more. Finally, the film features a compelling score by composer James Bernard. The music plays a crucial role in creating a haunting atmosphere throughout the film, intensifying the sense of dread and suspense. In conclusion, Dracula Prince of Darkness is a quintessential Hammer horror film and my favourite of them all. It effectively resurrects the menacing presence of Count Dracula and delivers a chilling, atmospheric and suspenseful narrative. If you appreciate classic gothic horror, Christopher Lee's portrayal of Dracula and a taste of old-school horror, this film is well worth revisiting, or at least discovering for the first time.